Welcome to Wavelynx Undercover, the micro podcast where we talk to people from companies who either resell, rebrand, or integrate Wavelynx technologies into their own platforms. I'm your host, Sarah Bowling, and my guest today is Jeff Bransfield from RS2 Technologies. Okay, well, let's talk about the hands of the humans. So we've covered legacy technology, cards, physical cards. We've talked about behind the scenes, what's happening with, encrypting, making sure that data is protected and that you have an intelligent way to, make updates to the system without having to roll trucks unnecessarily. So thank you for that. And now let's move into section number 3. The third question, or the third topic pillar that everybody's excited to learn more about, is migrating to mobile. And I know you'll have a lot to say about this. I mean, talk about hand to hand, tip of the hand. The hands are involved here. We're trying to do more and touch less, but we still need to carry our phones. And getting a credential into the phone has been priority number one for so many of our customers, especially coming out of 2020. This COVID demand for figuring out how to get people back to work with the least amount of touching as possible. So that brings mobile credentials front and center, and with that has become this sort of land grab of 100 different types of mobile credentials that are available in the market, and some of them are interoperable and some of them aren't, and some of them work and some of them don't, and some of them are free and some of them cost a fortune, some of them are easy to deploy, and some of them take a PhD. So what has RS2 done to approach the conversation around mobile credentials, and how are we working together to make this amazing?
Yeah, so mobile has been a thing for years, and but hard to deploy, hard to accept as a standard in system deployment. And there's multiple reasons for that. There was a cost factor, right? Some of the early adopters were a little expensive to manage, not just from the cost of the credential, but the management of that credential, right? It was really labor intensive. On several aspects, not calling out one manufacturer to the next. That was just what it was, right? To be able to do that. End users had a lot of kickback from the device, right? Did they own the device? Was it a private device? Was it the employee, company owned device? So there was a lot of conversation in that. What are my restrictions? What can I prevent my employee or my cardholder to do with this credential? Where's my secure, capability to touch this thing and control it? So for years there was, everybody was trying to figure out which way we're going to go, how this thing's going to come down. And at the end of the day, I think, the consensus is we need a way to centrally manage a mobile credential, no different than a card, right? Which was through the PACS, right? Which was through the access control software. I want to manage who has access to go where. I want to manage if they lose their card or whatever, lose their phone, I can turn it off instantly. I want that ability to do that. So RS2 worked pretty diligently on deploying what we're calling our mobile issuance integration, right? So, with Wavelynx, the Act ID credential is what, we're relabeling the Wavelynx credential as Act ID RS2 app. It's an app on Google Play Store. It's an app on iOS. You download the app, you have a credential. It's free. It's kind of a big deal. So we're not reselling that credential. Yeah. Because we wanted it to be easy to do. The way that we integrate on our end through Access Universal software is in the card screen itself. You choose Act ID Mobile and hit go. I can set up the access levels, all of the time, date based, credential, all of those things, what card group this belongs in, everything around the identity of that number, because at the end of the day, it's just a number, whether it's on a phone or on a fob or on a wristband or on a card, it's a number, right? So we want it to feel the same way as management of a credential through the system.
So how would this experience feel to me? How would this, if I were, I needed to be enrolled in your system as a as a guest or as a new employee? How
Yes.
how are you going to get this on my phone? How are you
If you're an
communicating?
employee, you don't even know other than, hey, go here and download this app.
Got it. So
You
download
don't need
that.
to check in with your system admin. You don't need to, screenshot the number and say, here, put this in the system. We pick that up through our API calls. So when you register, when I type in Sarah in my system and say, give her an Act ID mobile credential, our UI reaches out to the cloud, pulls down that credential information that you downloaded based on your phone number, and says, here's the credential that she now has in her hand. So there is no need for you to come into the office, check in. There's no need for you to, send any back and forth information, mistype something on a card number, right? All of that can be predefined. And the beauty part of it, especially in the university space right now, is all of it can be automated through database integrations, right? So I'm pulling from Banner, I'm pulling from Atrium systems, right? I'm pulling from, whatever source database I'm having. Yeah, tell me Sarah's phone number. It's in that field. I pull that in through an automation process. I populate it with the access level based on what dorm room you go to, etc. You're just told, hey, download this app. That's
So
all you need to do.
what if you've got a commercial environment where it's multi-geographical locations, and it just so happens that not every location has an RS2 head end, but they
Mhm.
want to deploy the Act ID credential to all the employees so they can go freely between any of those buildings, and there's a different software head end. How does that work?
Well, they need to call me
Yeah.
first, but yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the credential, right? Open technology. I mean, as everybody knows, right, we have sister companies within the Acre portfolio. Let's use Open Options, for example. They have the exact same process. So if you had a customer with Open Options in one building, RS2 in another, they can absolutely use the same credential, if they want to go that route, right? So no problems there. It's the same communication between reader and card, right? The integration happens from
I
system
think
to
that's a
system.
differentiator though, Jeff. Like while there are some enterprise ready mobile credential solutions out there with some physical access control manufacturers, the ability that you have, even if it needed to be sort of fat fingered into the other access control system, it can be done. So you are set up to provide a truly enterprise mobile credential solution. It might not have that automatic enrollment
Yeah,
feature, but
yeah, and we're not requiring the integration piece, right? So the integration piece is something on our end,
yeah,
and it's not needed. If you don't want that automation of pull down, yeah, absolutely, just plug in the number and off you run. So we've got some people that are really selling our SaaS solution, doing an off-prem solution, 1, 2, 3 doors, right?
right.
Throw a reader on the wall, Wavelynx reader on the wall, free credentials for everybody, off we go, right? The cost of ownership goes, way down at that point. Yeah, if they don't want to spend the little, integration license that we charge for the mobile issuance, then they don't have to.
Got
They
it.
can type that
Okay.
in manually all day long. Yeah, absolutely.
Those are big differentiators, having, sticking to the free credential model. That's one obviously that we've established, and ours is the way that we've gone to market is with the most vanilla version. We have no customizable features and no automatic integration. It's just dip your toe in the water, get a mobile credential into the customer's hands, fat finger it into the packs, and away you go. But it's partners like you that we're relying on to take this and run with it and turn it into a truly developed and truly enjoyable platform, so that your customers can feel really confident about using an enterprise ready mobile credential.
Yeah, and look, the hardest part about cardholder management is getting to all the cardholders,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if I can cut that out, then that's huge,
Yeah.
right? The fastest time to field is easily done through just a simple mobile app, right? So and we're seeing a big uptick too in visitor space, right? So visitor space, I'm the property management owner. I want people to come in and visit my lobby, right? But I don't want just untapped availability for them to go everywhere. So pre-issuing them a mobile credential, we have a great partnership with Wavelynx and Splan, one of our visitor management partners, that they have fully incorporated that mobile credential into the visitor process, right? So now a visitor's coming into my building, I can go in, the Splan integration will give them access to that lobby or that elevator to come up and see me if we want. But I can pre-send them a mobile credential, right? That
Shout
person
out
doesn't
to
touch anybody.
Splan. Shout out to Splan. We'll be
Yeah,
talking to them soon too. But yeah, this is pretty powerful. Being able to
right.
have this three-way integration is
Yeah.
really exciting. So we'll showcase that as well. I'm sure we'll be able to see that at your upcoming conference, which we'll
We
talk.
will actually. Yeah, I was just talking about that. We have our annual conference every year. We do an annual conference for our dealers, our sponsors. This year, obviously virtual, so we're going to make it fun. But yeah, that's going to be one of our highlights, is to talk about the new mobile issuance integration, as I was just talking about, as well as the integration with Splant.